Oh, hello everyone, it's Susie Crypto Granny here. The date's the 2nd of December 2022 and it's about 20 past 6 European time today. So let's go through some of the main cryptocurrency news stories today. What affects cryptocurrency markets. Then we'll talk about Brazil. We'll talk about SBF, which I'm pretty much sick of talking about, to be honest. We'll talk about Michael Novagratz picking up Celsius. We'll talk about Russia's largest bank going into cryptocurrency. We'll also talk about Japan FTX. We'll talk about Stripe. Then we'll talk about Binance in terms of Voyager. Binance also acquired another Japanese licensed cryptocurrency exchange. We'll talk about the Coinbase story with Apple. What was the story there with their NFTs and their wallets? Also, we'll talk about Houbi and Poloniex and Justin Sun. And we'll talk about there was an exploit last night, a DeFi exploit, another one. And we'll also talk about Nexo, VeChain, and Polygon, and just a few other news stories. These are the main news stories today, people. So, sorry I didn't do a podcast yesterday. I just got too busy. I've got so much stuff to do for clients and all sorts of things, and I just got too busy. So my apologies. But at least it's Friday. It's the end of the week. My God, time is flying, I have to say. I don't know where the time is going. And my God, I am loving the World Cup. I had a bet on Japan against Spain. And was it Spain? Let me think. Yeah, I think it was Spain. Yeah, it was Spain. And I just had a feeling Japan would win against Spain because they've been playing so well. And now I've got a bet on for Australia to win against Argentina. I know it's a big call, and if they do win, then I'm going to make a lot of money. But Australia can play fantastically, or they can play really bad. So they're a real X factor, and you just don't know which way they're going to go. But it's certainly worth putting on some money anyway, because the odds are seriously, seriously high. So I can't wait for that game. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm loving the World Cup. I just love it, love it, love it. Anyway, enough of me today. Let's get on with what's going on in markets. US non-farm payroll came out, and I'll mention that first because it's a huge number in the fiat markets. It's about how many people are employed that don't work farming jobs. And just what the market did pre that, post that, and just what some of the themes in the market, but also I'll talk about all these other stories that I mentioned as well. So US non-farm payroll came out at 263,000 for the previous month, and they're expecting 200,000, and the month before they got 261,000. So the figure was stronger than the market was anticipating. Now, when the figure's stronger, the market will sell off. Risk markets will sell off. They tend to, okay? So in other words, the equity market goes down, the US dollar goes up, and interest rates, the yield goes up, and their prices go down. But what we've seen today is not a great deal of movement. Yes, we saw the market weaker when the figure came out, but the market has rallied back, interestingly enough. Now, Bitcoin was above 17,000. It's currently at 16,987, not doing anything. Ethereum's at 12,830. They're both up slightly. So I think the market is basically seeing through these figures and just saying, look, going forward, things will be weaker. Also, the inflation levels are starting to come back down ever so slightly as well, okay? So the unemployment rate, according to the statisticians in the US, was 3.7%, which I don't believe for a minute. Private payrolls are up 221,000. They're expecting 185,000. Average weekly hours was at 34.4, down slightly. Earnings month on month for US wage earners was up 0.6, which doesn't really mean much, not even 1%, when you know inflation, the real price of inflation is running at 22%. The thing is, I will say participation in these labour force figures was slightly down, which actually skews the participation, actually pushes the unemployment rate down, okay? So, it's not always on the surface of what you think it's going to be. So the Dow is still at 34,312 as we speak. The S&P is at 4060, held up quite well. They're only off about, 0.35% or something like that. The US dollar is 134.69, and US 10-year bond rate is around 3.61%, up 7 basis points after this US economic figure, very, very important economic figure, came out. So not a lot is going on, even though it was a very strong figure. Crypto has come back as well, and lots going on. But very quickly, I'll go through the market cap, 866.948 bill. Volume's extremely low at 28.725 bill. Liquidity is quite low at 3.22 bill, and Bitcoin's dominance is 37.66. So as I said, Bitcoin's at 16,986, Ethereum 1283, Binance 291, XRP 0.39, and Matic at 0.922. So, and interestingly enough, not much has happened. Now, Elon Musk came out on Twitter, and I tend to agree with Elon Musk. He said that there's going to be a severe recession in the USA. The trend is extremely concerning. Many people are losing their jobs. He's basically said the Fed should be cutting interest rates straight away. And I agree with this guy, okay? I think the Fed are nuts. When you look at the overall trend globally, things are getting worse and worse. People are losing their jobs everywhere, right? And I just don't believe these US job figures. I honestly don't. I don't. Because we already know, literally about 200,000 IT workers have lost their job already. Many more are going to lose their jobs. So many people, so many corporations are actually, getting rid of people. It's not funny. And the latest one was DoorDash. Apparently it's a food delivery service from restaurants and this sort of thing. They've got rid of more than 7% of their workforce, cutting by 1,250 people. And that tells you something, right? People aren't ordering takeaway. They can't afford it, right? It's expensive, right? So when you look at things, services like this, a lot of people losing their jobs because people aren't going out to restaurants. They can't afford to eat at restaurants. It costs you an arm and a leg, a fortune, and it's cheaper to eat at home. And that's what we're seeing, right? We're seeing that all over the world, and demand basically for the consumer spend is getting lower and lower because people are worried about, the security of their work, the security of their accommodation, all sorts of things. Plus, inflation, I don't believe inflation is 10% in the system. I believe inflation's way over 20%, right? So I just don't believe these things at all, to be perfectly honest. Seriously, I think the figures they bring out are absolute garbology. That's my view on it. Garbology, and I'll say it again, garbology. And coupled with that, we've still got this coronavirus going on, 648 million people. It's going up 3 million a day. We've got the story in China. There's lockdowns. They've tried to make it zero COVID policy, but it's not working. And now, it's the stuff of revolutions in China, which is not great, okay? So, be mindful. China is only going at 3% per annum in terms of gross domestic product. When they were booming, it was anything from 8 to 12%, and it's just a disaster. And China is huge, right? If China's growth is weak, it is going to affect the rest of the world in terms of demand for products from the Chinese, okay? It's that simple. Very, very simple indeed. Anyway, let's talk what some of the news stories are in crypto. Brazil Congress moves to regulate cryptocurrency. They passed a bill for the banks to offer services in cryptocurrencies, okay? Now, this is fantastic. Brazil's got a population of 216 million, and the fact that they're going to go into cryptocurrency is huge, right? It means there's going to be more and more demand for physical cryptocurrency, not derivatives, but physical. And we know Santander Bank, the biggest Spanish bank, is also offering services in cryptocurrency, right? And that's a big story in itself, okay? But also we found out that now Russia, Mr. Putin, is looking at cryptocurrency and platforms. And they've announced the Russia's largest bank, SBER, which is 51% owned by the Russian government, wants to go into cryptocurrency, okay? So they've announced a blockchain compatibility with Ethereum, which integrates MetaMask and will eventually integrate the Ethereum, virtual machine. And they obviously, the Russians want to get around all the US sanctions if they hold US dollars in US bank accounts. Clearly with crypto and their own blockchain, this will not happen. And I can understand this is why the Russians are doing it. So if they say yes to cryptocurrency in Russia, it's again another 140 million population. So it's all very, very good. Now, Mike Novagratz from Galaxy Digital bought Celsius Assets, and they're interested in a self-custody platform called GK8, which was the cryptocurrency lender for Celsius Network, right? Last year, apparently, Celsius paid from someone else about 115 million, but Mr. Novagratz said they got the assets a lot cheaper. We don't have the details of that deal, but it's a pretty smart sort of deal, I think, Mike Novagratz has done by buying the Celsius Assets, the GK8 cryptocurrency lender. And I think that makes a lot of sense for his business. Now, Mike Novagratz also came out on Twitter and said that SBF, which I'm just sick of talking about this guy, fair income, he just said he's full of, full of balderdash, or, you can imagine, SHIT, and this guy should be jailed. I saw the interview with Andrew Sorkin with SBF, and I just cannot believe this interview. He basically, said he was looking at risk management on the FTX side, that Imelda is a different corporation, and that they should have been looking at their own risk management. And he looked at it a couple of days ago and he said everything was fine. And he's trying to blame all his stuff on the people of Alameda Research. And I'm really worried he's going to use the CEO, that lovely young girl, Caroline, or whatever her name is, as a scapegoat, right? This is not good, man. You can just see this because this guy is so well connected with every politician, every rich person. His parents come from Stanford. The guy's got a silver friggin' spoon in his mouth, right? I can't even stand the way the guy talks, feeding, and he doesn't even look at people at the camera or whoever Andrew Sorkin was interviewing. He never answers questions. He distracts people by, umming and ahhing and talking about other balderdash garbology, which has got nothing to do with the answer to the question, right? And he keeps saying that Imelda Research is a separate corporate. I don't even know coding skills, which is garbology because, anyone that knows, I don't know, he did a physics degree, and I don't even know what physics is, right? Most people wouldn't even know what physics degree is and whether it includes coding. But I spoke to, Elizabeth Barnes, who works as a huge consultant for this business and knows technology and coding like you wouldn't believe, and we're very lucky to have her in this business. And she said that anyone that does a physics degree, and God knows what that means, knows how to do coding. So this guy, she said, is really lying, and he's full of garbology, and he's trying to make out that the other people from Imelda Resources stole the money and spent it, the $10 billion, right? And I actually think his lawyers have told him that as well. And now he's feigning like he can't remember or he's depressed or something. I mean, this is just balderdash, right? It's garbology. The guy, like Mike Novagratz said, should go to jail. Fair income, it is bullshit, right? Sorry, I shouldn't say that. But it is garbology. And honestly, if this guy gets off because he knows all the rich people and his parents are rich and the whole la, that is total corruption, right? And that shows you that if this guy gets off and they blame someone else from Imelda or a couple of people from Imelda Research, and this guy gets off, fair income, or just like a, 5-year sentence at home or something, I believe the system is corrupt, but this is just going to make me even believe it more, right? That the US legal system is corrupt, because this guy is so well connected to, politicians and everything, and, the Senate and God knows, the Senate committee and everyone else. It's just going to make all those dills that supported SBF, it's going to make them look like dills as well. And where they're going to admit that they're absolute dills and they got this guy wrong because he's an absolute con artist, man. I really, if this guy doesn't go to jail for a long time, man, I just think it's totally corrupt. I mean, Bernie Madoff, who did that horrible pyramid thing, in 2008, the guy was arrested within a week, right? Literally. And they threw away the key. He died in jail for crikey. Not that I want SBF to die in jail, to be horrible. But the thing is, why aren't they arresting the guy? I just don't understand this, right? And, maybe the lawyers are playing for, if it goes to a jury, they might feel sorry for him because he's sort of saying, oh, I'm really young, I'm under 30 or whatever, I didn't know anything, I don't know coding, I don't know this. I looked at the reports, they seemed okay. And now he's blaming it all on Imelda Research because they're a different, separate company. And he's saying, oh, they had their own risk management system and everything. I employed these people. How was I to know? It's beyond me. Seriously, if this guy doesn't go to jail, then it's going to get a lot of people, millions of people out there in the market, in the cryptocurrency market, millions of people seriously upset. So we just have to keep an eye on that. But I tell you what, if he doesn't go to jail, there's something seriously wrong. And we know there's something seriously wrong with the legal system, right? But it just confirms it even more and more, okay? So I don't want to talk about that guy anymore, but there was another story today, another fund that's been affected by SBF, and it's called Aurora's Global. They've got short-term liquidity problems because they lent unwisely, so $3 million to FTX, which they haven't got back, okay? Now, apparently Japan, FTX, apparently are allowing withdrawals. I'm going to see if I can get into the Japanese exchange to see, maybe they're connected, to the exchange I'm using with FTX. I don't know, but it might be worth trying with a VPN, right? I'm going to try that later. Anyway, the next big story is Stripe. Payment jumps into Web3 with a tool that helps companies turn cash into crypto, okay? It's called a fiat to crypto on-ramp. Makes payments easier for Web3 companies. And also within this tool, it also handles KYC, compliance, AML, anti-money laundering, all those sort of things. Stripe process they process payments, don't forget, for the purchases for Apple and Walmart, right, on the app. And they're focusing on blockchain-based gaming companies, which is smart because people want to play games and use crypto. And they want to get on board more players and add more money to wallets, right? So this is a very simple thing to do and to increase, getting people to use Web3 more and more, right? With the Stripes, on board ramp, fiat to crypto on ramp, right? And the companies that are already using this are Audius, Music Streaming. I think Audius is interesting. It's owned by TikTok. We do have a bit of Audius in our trading portfolio. Also, NFT marketplace Magic Eden is using it, and cryptocurrency wallet called Argon is using it. So Stripe want to encourage many more people to use this tool, fiat for crypto on ramp. And I think this is super. I think this is a great idea, and it's going to get many more users using it, okay? Now, Binance also, just to give you some more information, Binance, as you know, is looking to bid for Voyager assets, right? Now, there's a broker-dealer out there called INX that's joined the party to make a bid on Voyager assets, right? INX is a FINRA and an SEC regulated broker-dealer, right? They have all the regulation from the USA, SEC, and all that sort of business. They're a money transmitter in the US, over 43 states, right? They said that Voyager's got great technology. They're impressed with the user base, the client base. They have a strong community. They like some of the, technology within Voyager. The only thing is Voyager, obviously Voyager assets owes creditors 100,000 creditors money, anything from 1 to 10 billion. They also had exposure to 3 capital arrows. They lost 661 mil, and they lost a lot of money with FTX because all their assets were sitting on FTX, okay? So it's going to be very interesting to see, what they pay for it, whether Binance wins or whether INX wins. So if you remember rightly, FTX did buy Voyager back in September, and they paid 1.4 billion for it. And that's why Voyager had all their assets sitting on FTX, okay? And then FTX went broke, okay? So it's going to be pretty interesting to see who actually gets that business. Also, Binance acquires a Japanese-based licensed crypto exchange called Secure Exchange Bitcoin. We don't know the terms, but apparently it's the first license in Japan, East Asia. It's great for Binance because Japan is a seriously hard market to get licenses for cryptocurrency. The Japanese regulators are very hard, right? So the fact that they've got a license and they've bought the Secure Exchange Bitcoin is great for Binance. I mean, Binance are literally all over the world. It is just unbelievable how big and how good Binance is, okay? Absolutely unbelievable. Now, there was exploit last night, and apparently it was on Binance Smart Chain. It was a DeFi, and there's always these exploits with DeFi. This is why we don't buy DeFi. This is a $5 million exploit on Binance Smart Chain. Apparently, the attacker minted 6 quadrillion of Binance token, turned it into $5 million US, and basically got it out of the system and sold it and got the money, right? It was taken from one of the Binance liquidity pools, and apparently there was something wrong in the code of those liquidity pools for computer coding, right? Now, this is really important because computer coding, for any of this technology of cryptocurrency assets, should be audited and should be verified by a proper coder, okay? People often use Certic, which is a great cryptocurrency story. They audit the coding of technology. And, even if this coding had sort of like a simple limit, right? The fact that this hacker minted 6 quadrillion of some token, it was a Binance type token, and then sold it for $5 million USDC, if the system of coding had a limit in there, maximum limit you can mint, say 100 million, then this would not have been allowed to go through. It's just something like that, a red flag that should have come out from the system to tell the Binance, compliance people, that there's someone trying to take money out of the liquidity pools, right? With just a simple quantity limit, right? And so, look, code should always be audited, right? And it should be audited also by Certic, who really know what they're doing as well, okay? So I just thought I'd add to that. Now, also, let's talk about Coinbase and Apple. I got to tell you, Apple doesn't know anything about cryptocurrency technology or blockchain. They haven't got a clue, and I'll tell you why. Apple said to Coinbase they wanted Coinbase to cut the Ethereum gas fees by 30%. Because Coinbase uses Apple so that NFTs can be traded in and out of wallets on iOS, right? But Apple, basically said if you're using our services, you have to pay a 30% tax. And apparently that's what Apple do. They charge everyone 30% tax for downloading from the Apple Store, an app, right? Which I think is outrageous. It's extreme. 30% is just unbelievable. And Elon Musk called that a tax. And it is a tax. It's a joke, okay? An absolute joke. But the fact that Apple is saying to Coinbase to reduce your gas fees on Ethereum, it tells me that Apple haven't got a clue about blockchain technology, particularly when it's proof of work. They just haven't got a clue. They don't realise that there's miners and validators of the network and everything else, and that the validators of the network get paid, with rewards, right, gas fees, to basically validate transactions, to authorise those transactions and to add them to the block, right? And those gas fees vary depending on the demand and supply, of transactions, right? If there's a lot of people buying Ethereum, right, or selling Ethereum, those gas fees are going to widen, get more and more. And if you want something done quickly with the miners, you have to raise your gas fee, right? I mean, this is fundamental to proof of work blockchain. So clearly, Apple have not got a clue. There are network validators within the blockchain that have to perform many important functions on the blockchain. Number one, are they valid transactions? We need to verify them, and every validator will have a database and it all must equal, right? But also to receive payments or verify transactions are added to the block, the validators need to do certain tests and validations to be able to do that. And that's called, a work in progress, right? Or a proof of work. A proof of work. And because it costs them money, computer power, electricity, it costs them money to actually try and work out the computations and the algorithm and, the formula to get in there, right? The first miner to work out the formula. to try and verify a transaction. It tells me Apple haven't got a clue, right? You know, the cost of running heavy grunt computer power to mine Bitcoin or Ethereum when it's proof of work, right? Costs you an arm and a leg, and you know, seriously, and they need to get their money back if they, if they're a proof, they can show proof of work. So, you know, Apple has not got a clue, and it's been one of my biggest complaints about Tim Cook, who's the CEO of Apple. Apple had a chance about 5 years ago to have an exchange and to get people using the Apple wallet. What a chance, right? And they've just dropped the ball in the last 5 years, right? Seriously, you know, they could have had half or more of the cryptocurrency market. It could have been Apple Exchange instead of Binance Exchange. Fair income, this is how stupid these people are. I got to tell you. So for me, Apple is old technology. Fair income, it really is. It's gone, it's history. And, you know, I'm actively going to be selling Apple, right? And this shows me they haven't got a friggin' clue. So ultimately, Coinbase said, no way can we reduce the 30% charge on Ethereum, because clearly you don't understand how the bloody technology works, right? So now Coinbase wallet, no one can send NFTs, right? Because Apple's blocked the last app release, right? And they want Coinbase to disable that feature because Apple said they wanted a significant share of the transaction fee at 30%. So, you know, Coinbase has had to, get this feature off the wallet simply because Coinbase are using Ethereum, and it's an impossibility to reduce the gas fees in the proof of work Ethereum, right? For the miners that validate all the transactions and add those transactions 4,000 to 5,000 to a block, right? Apple have not got a clue. So this is where we're at with this wallet at the moment, and Coinbase will have to find another solution rather than using Apple Pay or Apple apps, okay? That's a fact. But it tells you Apple just haven't got a clue. Fair income. Anyway, very quickly, I want to talk about Houbi, Poloniex, and Tron. As you know, Houbi, basically got a client at the Caribbean islands in Dominico country, in the Caribbean. They're going to mint or print a Dominico token, a government token. It's the first government token in the world. And Tron, Poloniex, and Houbi are connected. Now, Justin Sun has an ownership, I think, in Houbi. I think he bought the $1 billion from Houbi. The original founder wanted to get out, and I think he bought the $1 billion Houbi stake. He also bought Poloniex. He's a part of that with the investor community. They bought that very cheaply for about $400 million, very cheap for an exchange, back in 2018 from Circle, okay? So this guy is smart. Originally he said there wasn't going to be a merger between Houbi and Poloniex, but he's come out and confirmed it. You know, they want to move Poloniex onto the Houbi, technology system, right, the network, and they want connectivity between liquidity sharing, global compliance, building a global world trading platform, a top one, right, where they all integrate. He's probably going to integrate Tron's technology with Houbi and Poloniex as one, right? And that makes sense because Binance have the monopoly on cryptocurrencies, 75%, and CZ is Justin Sun's mentor. So Justin Sun's a very ambitious young man, and it makes sense. He said we need to build a top trading platform for cryptocurrency. And, Binance needs a competitor in this market. Seriously, it's just Binance. There has to be another large exchange competitor. If we look at Kraken, they've put off 1,600 people. If you look at Coinbase, they're putting off people. FTX has hit the dust. All the smaller exchanges are closing down. It goes on and on and on, right? We need another big exchange as a competitor to Binance, right? You can't have just one exchange. It's a monopoly, and then they can monopolize fees and prices and everything, right? So Poloniex is going to be listed on Houbi exchange. I'd be interested in looking at that to see where it comes up, where they're going to sell Poloniex. And I think Tron will go over there. Now, Justin Sun has said they want to woo the Chinese investors, right? They have a lot of money, the Chinese, a lot of money. And they want to move away from the US because it is too, compliant, litigious and all those sort of things. And they're going to move globally and focus more on Asia and everywhere else, right? And the Middle East. And that makes sense. So they're going to call Poloniex Polo Digital Assets, and it's going to be listed on Houbi. And I look forward to that because I do believe that is going to be an absolute opportunity. Now, talking about Justin Sun, also if you look at Tron is adding more and more addresses every day. They've just recently, in the last 7 days, added 1.7 million new users, right, to the Tron network. Tron should not be at 3 or 5 cents, wherever the damn thing is, 5.5 cents. It should be a lot higher. They do more transactions than anyone a day. They are making more and more money. The fact is that Justin Sun is behind Houbi, Poloniex and Tron, and the Tron stable of different coins and tokens. I think, Tron, Houbi and Poloniex are going to do extremely, extremely well, okay? Absolutely. Now, very quickly, Nexo has been getting an operating license in Italy. Very, very important, okay? Because MiCA, we've discussed MiCA, it's a new European regulation that's coming out next year, early next year, and it's called Markets in Crypto Assets, MiCA, right? MiCA 1 and MiCA 2, which is being pushed by the European Central Bank boss, Christine Lagarde, okay? And what's happening is a lot of the fiat brokers and banks are moving out of England, Brexit, and coming to Italy, right, where they can get the European status, okay, between the EU of the 27 countries, the European Union, and comply with MiCA, which is a much more sensible regulation, a potential regulation than what the SEC is doing, because no one knows what the SEC is doing. They're a law to themselves. So it doesn't surprise me that Nexo is going to Italy. It's a great story for Nexo. They got this license, and let's put it this way. For my clients, I've done a video on Nexo, but I'm also doing another video on a work in progress of Nexo, exactly how it works. I've been through the technology of Nexo, the system, how it all works, and it is so clever and so smart. People that are talking Nexo going down the Google are just talking FUD. Seriously, Nexo has an amazing real-time risk management system where any client that comes along can only borrow 33%, okay? You got $1,000, you can borrow $330, right? If your LTVR, or your debt ratio, I should say, goes above 33%, you're going to start, losing some of your collateral. It's that simple, right? The system is brilliant. It's very well made. It's a risk mitigating system. Nexo, whatever you do as a client, you buy something, they will buy the same crypto that you buy. It's a back-to-back system. So it is amazing, guys and girls. And with my second video, you'll realize how amazing Nexo is. And I'm extremely comfortable with Nexo. They're regulated all over the world. They have an insurance fund. It goes on and on and on. And now they've got this license, and they have taken over a bank with an SEC license and a money transmitter license. I mean, they're an amazing story. Another amazing story is VeChain. Apparently, Walmart China are using many of VeChain supply chain management systems, okay? And apparently transactions have exploded with record usage. Walmart China and VeChain. Walmart China is a client of VeChain's, okay? VET. Now, Polygon also have partnership with Flipkart and Polygon partner to speed up the use of Web3 and metaverse e-commerce for use cases and solution to scale and bring more users to Web3. And that's great for Polygon Matic as well, okay? So there's a lot going on. There's really, really good stories in crypto. Don't forget Fidelity is coming to the market, right? And they've come on the US side. They're a fund asset manager, investment manager with 4.5 trillion in assets under management. There's a lot of people coming to crypto, and the demand for physical crypto, not derivatives, is going to get higher and higher. This crypto market, it's only a matter of time, people, before it starts going up in price big time, okay? Big time. And I agree with Elon Musk. Elon Musk, the Fed should be cutting interest rates, not raising them. Okay? So anyway, on that note, guys and girls, I'm about to have a beer. Have a great weekend. Look after yourselves. Be happy, because life is very short. And I look forward to talking to you next week. Thank you.